Hi everyone. So today we are getting together. Today I really want to focus on stress and stress management. Most of us, if not all of us, have been home for probably about a little over 2 months now. So I think a lot of folks are starting to get uh, maybe a little restless, maybe feeling a little bit more stressed out. There's still some uncertainty with the economy and jobs and everything that comes with that. So today, sort of want to focus on things that you can do to manage your stress a little bit better. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So to start, we're going to start like we did last time, just a few deep breaths, just to sort of get centered, get rid of any sort of anxieties or the funkiness that we're feeling right now. So we're going to do three. Uh, the deep breath in and then hold, and then we'll breathe out. Okay. You can leave your eyes open. You can close them, whatever feels comfortable for you. So we'll do breath in. And breath out. One more. Breath in. Breath out. Last one. Breath in. And breath out. And then just like last time, we'll do sort of quick little exercise based on the cards here, just to sort of get us in the mindset of mindfulness and um, sort of some stress relief. So I shuffled them a little bit ago, not the best at shuffling, but we'll go ahead and look and look. Pick one from the center. So this says engaged. And the card says the moral of your story, your pain has wisdom. What do your most difficult thoughts, feelings, sensations, and memories that you struggle with tell you about what's important in your life? So as we sort of talk about difficult emotions, feelings, that type of stuff, what do some of those moments or those thoughts, what do they tell you? What is that tied to, and what parts of your life did those things happen, and what does that say about you as a person and about your life? Sometimes family can bring up a lot of difficult thoughts and emotions, but what does that say? That means that we really value potentially, our family's opinion and our family just as a system and their interaction and support. Same thing with friends. If some of our difficult emotions or thoughts are related to friendships or um, any type of relationship, really, I mean, it just really shows you that you value those things and that those things are important to you. So with that, just sort of think about that. Think about what those difficult memories and difficult times have sort of shown you in your life. You're using that to learn from. We like to say that this time is sort of unprecedented, and it really is. But I think that we can think about other difficult times in our lives and how we've coped and how we've gotten through those and how we can use that right now. So, like I said, I wanted to talk really about stress management today. Um, with all of the stress and anxiety around COVID, uh, all of the job loss that people are experiencing, school closures, kids are at home, um, roles have sort of really shifted. So parents are now teachers, students are now also their children. So it's just really this sort of shift, right? And people, who may have lost their jobs are having to deal with that. And what does that mean for, right now and for the future? So on top of that, we really don't have access to our usual support system. So where friends, are a big source of support for a lot of people, and unfortunately, because of physical distancing, we're not always able to do that. Video chats help, but um, there's so much info now about how video chats and Zoom uh, kind of cause even more stress because of the lack of physical cues. It's just really hard to talk sometimes in a Zoom. So, while we're using those tools to be connected, sometimes those tools in and of themselves become stressful. So, I say all that to kind of get you in the mindset of talking about stress and what stress sort of does to our bodies. So, when we're stressed, your body starts to make more of the stress hormones, and that can put more of a strain on physical health. So, it can exacerbate, diabetes, heart disease. It can make anxiety worse. It can make depression worse. It can lead to people smoking and doing other unhealthy behaviors, increase of alcohol use, increase of drug use. So, as we get a little bit more stressed and as we get further along into staying at home, um, and sort of not really having an end date for any of it, um, it's just, I think it's wise to sort of think about it. And what I want to do today, or what I want to sort of start to have everyone thinking about, is having a sort of plan for how to deal with stress and the increase of stress in your lives right now. So, just some background about stress. It sort of shows up in bodies, emotions, and behaviors in a lot of different ways, and it's different for everybody. For some people, changes in sleep patterns, so sleeping more or sleeping less. Same thing with appetite, so either an increase in appetite or a loss of appetite, headaches, stomach aches, any of those sort of achiness and chronic pains that sort of come up, and you can't really pinpoint, you know, why that happened. Sometimes that can just be stress related. There's also mood changes from, being more irritable. Like I said, an increase in anxiety, an increase in depression, anger, sometimes experiencing, um, mood swings throughout the day. So where you're fine in the morning and everything's okay, and then just from one moment to the next, you just get really sad, really depressed, really angry. Uh, that's also a sign of stress. It's important to know that those things aren't just in your head, and it's not just you. Uh, it's actually sort of a sign that there's changes happening in your brain and in your body because of all of the stress that's going on right now. Um, so, uh, one of the things that we can do is really taking time to sort of develop a plan or a program that works, so that when you recognize that you're feeling a little bit more stressed out, you can sort of go back to this plan and look at it, or think about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you write out, but it helps. Things that you can do to sort of help reduce that stress or get your mind off of it and focus on other things that make you feel better. Um, I would think I mentioned last week a little bit about allowing yourself to feel things and allowing it to pass. Um, and this is similar. You're allowing yourself to say, "Hey, I'm stressed," but at the same time, let me do things that can sort of lift me out of that, and not necessarily brush it aside and not pay attention to it, but just checking in and really recognizing it and doing things to make yourself feel better. So, it's important to check in with yourself and recognize how it shows up in your body. So when you first start to feel that, whatever it is, whether it's tightening in your chest, or some people talk about this uneasiness or sensation in the pit of your stomach, changes in sleep, changes in appetite, just really recognizing those physical signs, um, and making sure that we're aware of when stress starts to get to be too much and when we need to do something about it. It's important, especially important, if you have a chronic illness, uh, because um, there are some chronic illnesses that can be exacerbated by stress. So, asthma, uh, asthmatics can find it a little bit harder to breathe. If you have diabetes, your blood sugar may spike high. Or, if some folks may have underlying blood pressure conditions and that stress can shoot that up through the roof. So when we talk about making a plan, we really want to make it realistic and things that you can do, that you will do, things that help you feel better. Um, and then when you are thinking about those things, uh, it's really important to say, uh, if I say, for example, when I'm stressed, yoga helps me, or going for a run helps me, is that something that I'm really going to do rather than saying, like, oh, um, going to the beach helps me? I can't really go to the beach right now. I mean, I can, but that comes with its own host of issues. So, really saying, can I do yoga? Yeah, I can, get down on my mat in the living room, or if I can go for a run, I can go for a run in my neighborhood. And I'm still doing stuff that's safe, but it's stuff that I can still do, right? And I still have access to. And then when we're talking about the program, just make sure that it's stuff that uh, you can do daily or more than once a day. Check in regularly, see how you're feeling. If you're talking about uh, doing a yoga class, for example, how do you feel afterwards? Really monitoring that and recognizing how you feel afterwards, or going for a run or going for a walk. How do you feel when you come back? How do you feel when you're finished? So, when talking about planning, making a stress release plan, there's really six things that you can focus on. First one is nutrition, uh, supportive relationships, exercise, sleep, mental and behavioral health and support, and mindfulness, meditation, or prayer. Um, so, when we're talking about nutrition, a lot of folks right now have been focusing on snacks, and there's been a lot of memes or jokes about quarantine weight gain. Um, so, when we talk about nutrition, we're not really talking about losing weight or going on a diet. It's really about making sure that you're eating balanced, eating as healthy as you can, and not just snacking all day, or you know, having a bag of chips, having candy, having chocolate, sodas, that type of stuff. Really making sure that we're focusing on, 3 square meals, if you want to say, uh, 3 good meals a day. Maybe a few snacks here and there. Also, not saying to totally eliminate things that you think are good or taste good. It's just really thinking about them in moderation. Uh, and then really reducing sugar intake, reducing alcohol intake. I know that a lot of people have talked and maybe joke about drinking a little bit more to feel better, to take the edge off, but it's not the best for our bodies. So just making sure that we're getting balanced nutrition is really important. Then we said supportive relationships. So making sure that we're nurturing the relationships that we have in our lives. If we are staying at home with somebody, if we're quarantined with somebody, making sure that you're checking in, that you're communicating, I think is really important right now because a lot of us have been sort of thrown together in these spaces that maybe we're used to sharing, but maybe not used to sharing so much, and not really having a lot of alone time, and not having time to ourselves, I think. So I think really being open and honest and communicating with whoever you have at home with you about what you need. Um, and then making sure in turn that you're giving that person also what they need. So if they need space, if they need time, giving them that as well, but also the opposite. So if they need more interaction, they need more meaningful interaction. Maybe turning off cell phones, turning off TV, having dedicated time to sit and talk. Um, Making sure that you're checking in, I think, is really important. And then, I mentioned earlier the video chatting, Zooming with friends, uh, which, yes, is very important and helpful, but at the same time, being mindful about that. Uh, there's been some information to come out about how Zoom exhaustion is a thing, especially I think when you're Zooming multiple times per day with multiple people. You're looking at a screen with 5, 10 15 people maybe. And it's really difficult because your eyes are just sort of bouncing back and forth. You're all trying to talk at once. You're all sort of talking over each other. Um, so what I've been telling people is maybe staying in touch one on one, maybe still doing video calls, but just good old fashioned phone calls sometimes is easier to navigate uh, the conversation rather than video, where sometimes there's a delay. Um, Sound doesn't match video. Sometimes it's hard to read the other person when you're on video chat. You're not always making eye contact. Even in this, I can tell that I'm not always making eye contact. Um, because we our eyes sort of dart and navigate to the image on the screen rather than looking at the camera. So video chat is definitely really different. So I think doing what we can to maintain those relationships and those connections with people, um, in a positive way, in a way that doesn't make us feel tired or exhausted. What else did we talk about in our plan? Oh, so making sure that we get exercise. So this thing that I'm reading says 60 minutes per day. Doesn't necessarily have to be all at one time. So you can do, a 20-minute walk in the morning, uh, you know, jump around here and there, going outside, um, walking to the mailbox, or walking to take out the trash. This list that I have in front of me says filming a TikTok and sharing it, which is something that a lot of people are doing. Those TikTok dances are really popular. The bottom line is just to get your body moving, get your heart rate up, get rid of some of that excess energy, that excess stress, the wiggles, the weirdness, the funkiness. There's a ton of exercise apps that are out there. There's a ton of people doing workouts on Instagram or Zoom. Again, the Zoom. But just making sure that you're doing something that works for you and something that's accessible. Something within your physical limits, and something like we mentioned earlier. It's something that is actually doable. You might not want to say, "I'm going to go out and run for an hour" right off the bat. But maybe work up to that. If it's been a while since you've been active, 60 minutes per day is recommended. It's not necessarily that you have to meet that right away. Start 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, little by little, and build up to that 60 minutes per day. And again, it doesn't have to be one chunk all at once. It can be spread out throughout the day. Healthy sleep, big one, big one, big one. Right now, I think because a lot of people aren't getting up at the same time every day to go to work, everyone's pattern, everyone's routine has been changed. I think sleep patterns have really been affected. So people may be staying up later, uh, maybe waking up later because they're not necessarily tied to being somewhere at a certain time in the morning. Kids in school, I've heard from some of my friends with kids that their kids just want to stay up later and later because they don't have to wake up and go to school. So I think just making sure that you're taking care of your sleep routine, having a bedtime every day, turning off electronics at a certain time before bed, getting rid of some of the distractions, not having caffeine in the evening, making sure that your place that you sleep is comfortable, is big so that you're able to relax as much as you can at night and can get a full night's rest. Um, because then you don't sleep and it just messes up your entire day. At least for me, if I don't, if I maybe go to sleep at the same time, but there's noise outside, or I wake up for some reason and can't fall back asleep. Having that full night's rest and not having that just sort of sets the day off weird, and can that in and of itself can sort of bring on additional stress. So it's really making sure that we're getting those 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night. We talked about nutrition, and then mental health support, also very important. These are all really important. Uh, just engaging in mental health care, making sure that you're connecting with mental health professionals. I am a mental health professional. having telephone sessions, video sessions. Uh, if you have previously been uh, seeing somebody and have been on medication for anxiety, depression, what have you, making sure that we're refilling those medications, those prescriptions, and making sure that we're staying on top of all of that and not letting those things go by the wayside because, especially right now with all of the stress, it can make things worse and sort of make some of those symptoms that maybe have gotten better come back right now. A big one also with mental health support and making sure that you're taking care of your mental health is the news. The news in and of itself right now is really stressful. So making sure that it's important to be informed and it's important to consume that information, but doing it in a thoughtful and mindful way. So for me personally, sometimes the news gets a bit overwhelming. So limiting the amount of TV news and internet news. Um, if you have the news on, 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe not watching CNN all day and just seeing some of the media content that can be really upsetting. Um, and yeah, I think just overall taking care of yourself and your emotions and um, just being vocal with what you need and the support that you need, seeking out additional support if you need it. Then the last one, mindfulness, meditation, and prayer. So with that can be whatever it looks like to you, whatever religion you practice, uh, whatever taking care of your spiritual health looks like. Um, that is completely open to interpretation. It can be yoga. It can be, just sitting in silent meditation for 20 minutes. It can be praying. It can be reading the Bible. There's a lot of good meditation apps that are out there. Um, I know that I think it was Headspace that was giving. Uh, uh, I lost my train of thought. Headspace was giving out free subscriptions to healthcare workers during all of this. Uh, so it's actually good to look around and look at different meditation apps. Um, thing with meditation is people sort of think that it's about not letting thoughts come into your mind and it's about sitting in complete silence and complete stillness and having this existential transcendental moment, but really it's just about trying to find a calm still moment despite all of that. So yeah, you're still going to have those thoughts, you're still going to have all of that stuff coming in and out, but it's really just about recognizing that and letting it go. Uh, so sort of similar to prayer, right? I think when folks pray, I think it's about recognizing some of those negative things and that stress that we feel, um, and giving it up and letting go, giving it away to a higher power. So very similar, meditation and prayer. Same thing with yoga. Yoga is sort of that physical manifestation of meditation, right? So sort of that mindful movement, moving, but also being still at the same time. That makes sense. Um, and that's really because those things can help with your stress response and the way that you respond to it, and just sort of help you deal with it a lot better in the long run. So, questions, comments, concerns, like always, you can send them in. Like I said, when we're talking about self care and stress response plans, you can write them down. You can set some goals down if you're talking about setting a goal for, your 60 minutes of activity a day, or if you're setting a goal for, to try to eat better. Um, you might want to write that down if that helps out. For some people, it doesn't. Some people can just have it all in their head and then know what to do, and how to help with that on their own, and that's completely okay too. Yeah, just looking through my little outline here and seeing if anything else that we can go over. But that's really it. I just really wanted to give you some tips, tools, suggestions, recommendations on how to manage the stress that you're feeling right now. And just know that, you know, most of us are all in the same boat right now. We're all going through a lot of different emotions, a lot of different feelings, a lot of things that are weighing on everyone's mind. So just know that, you have support. I'm available here at the center. If you need to get a hold of me, you can always reach out via phone, via email. While I am at home, you can reach out to the main cen- the main call center, the main clinic number. I mean, can't speak. The main clinic number, which is 858-657-6028. And then my email, adcarranza@health.ucsd.edu. Any questions you can send those my way. Suggestions for information that you would like, other topics that you would like to see addressed. I am open to hear what you have to say and any questions you have. If you need a one on one session, if you have some things that you'd like to talk about on a one on one basis, I'm also available for counseling sessions by phone, via video, uh, however you want to take care of that, we can do that. All right. So, with that said, until next week, I hope you guys are all well. Be safe. Wash your hands. Bye.